The look on my 4-year-old daughter's face when my own sister threw our suitcases onto the Miami sidewalk is something I'll never forget. She didn't cry. She just looked up at me with those big brown eyes and whispered, "Mommy, why doesn't Auntie Yasmin love us anymore?" What my sister didn't know was that her cruelty that day would cost her everything she'd spent years building. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I tell you how this all unfolded, I need to ask you something. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, someone you loved, someone who was supposed to have your back no matter what, hit that subscribe button. Because this story is for everyone who's ever been underestimated, dismissed, or thrown away by the people who should have protected them. Your support means everything to me as I share the most painful chapter of my life. My name is Lakeisha, and I'm 30 years old. 3 years ago, my life in Miami was picture perfect on the outside. I had a beautiful daughter named Raina, a decent job as an administrative assistant at a law firm downtown, and a sister I thought would always be in my corner. Yasmin is 2 years older than me. Growing up, we were inseparable. When our parents died in a car accident when I was 22 and she was 24, we only had each other. We swore on our parents' graves, that we'd always be there for one another. Family first, always. Yasmin married a successful real estate developer named Sean Bagwell when she was 26. Sean came from money, old Miami money. His family owned properties all over South Beach, Coral Gables, and Coconut Grove. Yasmin transformed overnight from my scrappy, ambitious sister into someone I barely recognized. She started shopping at Bal Harbour, getting her hair done at salons I couldn't afford, and hosting dinner parties for people whose names I'd only seen in the society pages. I was happy for her. Genuinely. She deserved good things. We both did, after everything we'd been through. When I got pregnant at 27, my boyfriend at the time, Anthony Cooper, didn't handle it well. Actually, that's putting it mildly. He told me he wasn't ready to be a father and left me with a 3-month-old pregnancy and a lease I couldn't afford on my own. Yasmin stepped up. She and Sean had this massive house in Pinecrest with 6 bedrooms. "Come stay with us," she insisted. "You're family. You shouldn't go through this alone. Plus, Sean and I have been trying for a baby ourselves. It'll be nice to have a little one around." I moved in when I was 5 months pregnant. Those first few months were good. Great, even. Yasmin took me to doctor's appointments, helped me set up the nursery in one of the guest rooms, threw me a beautiful baby shower with all her wealthy friends who brought gifts I never could have afforded. Raina was born on a warm June night. 7 pounds, 6 ounces of pure perfection. Yasmin was in the delivery room with me, holding my hand, crying happy tears. "She's beautiful, Keisha. She looks just like Mom." The first year after Raina was born, I focused on being the best mother I could be while working full-time. My job was demanding, but I made it work. I'd drop Raina off at daycare at 7:30 a.m., work until 5:30 p.m., pick her up, and we'd have dinner together in my room. I tried to stay out of Yasmin and Sean's way as much as possible. I paid them $800 a month for rent and groceries, which was all I could afford after daycare costs. But I started noticing changes in Yasmin around the time Raina turned 1. She became critical. Not overtly mean, but there were these little comments that accumulated like paper cuts. "You're giving Raina dinner at 6:30? That's kind of late for a toddler, don't you think? Oh, you're dressing her in that? Well, it's cute in a simple way. You really should be saving more money instead of buying her all those unnecessary toys." Then came the comments about my parenting. "You know, Lakeisha, if you disciplined her more consistently, she wouldn't throw tantrums like that. Raina would benefit from more structured activities. Just letting her play with random toys isn't really stimulating her development." I bit my tongue. This was her house. She was letting me stay there. I could handle some unsolicited advice. But it got worse when Yasmin found out she couldn't have children. She and Sean had been trying for years. They'd done IVF, tried different doctors, explored every option. Finally, after one particularly brutal failed round of treatment, Yasmin's doctor told her that her chances of carrying a baby to term were virtually zero. I held her while she cried. My heart broke for her. I knew how much she wanted to be a mother. But something shifted in her after that diagnosis. Something dark. She started spending more time with Reina. At first, I was grateful. Reina loved her Auntie Yasmin. But then Yasmin started undermining me. She'd give Reina candy before dinner after I'd specifically said no. She'd let Reina stay up late watching movies when I'd already put her to bed. She bought Reina expensive toys and clothes, then make comments like, well, somebody has to spoil this precious girl since her mother can't afford to. When I confronted her about it, she acted like I was being ungrateful. I'm just trying to help, Lakeisha. You're working so hard, you barely have time for her. I'm just being a good aunt. The gaslighting was subtle but constant. Everything came to a head on a Saturday in March, 3 months ago. I had the day off and planned to take Reina to the beach. It would be just the two of us, some quality mother-daughter time we desperately needed. I came downstairs that morning to find Yasmin had already dressed Reina in a frilly dress I'd never seen before. We're going to brunch at the country club, Yasmin announced. I already made reservations. Actually, Yas, I was planning to take Reina to the beach today. It's our day together. Yasmin's expression hardened. You can't take her to the beach, Lakeisha. She'll get sunburned, and the sand is dirty. She's better off coming with Sean and me. She's my daughter, I said firmly. We already have plans. That's when Reina, excited about the beach, said, I want to go with Mommy. I'll never forget what happened next. Yasmin's face transformed into something cold and cruel. Fine. You know what, Lakeisha? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you living in my house, criticizing everything I do, acting like you're such a perfect mother when you can barely take care of yourself. What are you talking about? You're a charity case. You've been a charity case since you moved in here. Sean and I have carried you for 3 years. 3 years of listening to that baby cry, 3 years of your mess in my house, 3 years of supporting you while you contribute almost nothing. I pay rent. I work full-time. I take care of my daughter. $800 a month? She laughed bitterly. Do you know what this room would rent for on the market? Try $3,000. You're living off our generosity, and you have the audacity to tell me I can't take my niece to brunch? Sean had walked in during this exchange. Yasmin, honey, let's just calm down. No, Sean. I'm done. I've been patient, but I'm done. She turned back to me. I want you out. Today. Today? Yasmin, you can't be serious. I'm completely serious. Pack your things and get out of my house. Reina started crying. She didn't understand what was happening, but she could feel the tension, the anger, the hatred radiating from her aunt. I tried reasoning with Yasmin. I tried apologizing, even though I'd done nothing wrong. I begged her to reconsider, to at least give me a few days to find a place. She was unmoved. Within 2 hours, I had stuffed our belongings into 3 suitcases and 4 garbage bags. I called my friend Sally Welton, who I worked with at the law firm, but she was out of town. I called my friend Karen Peterson, but she had a small apartment with no room for us. I was running out of options. Yasmin stood in the doorway of that beautiful Pinecrest house, arms crossed, watching as I loaded our things into my beat-up Honda Civic. Reina stood on the lawn, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny, tears streaming down her face. Mommy, why is Auntie Yasmin mad at us? I knelt down and hugged my daughter. It's okay, baby. We're going to be okay. That's when Yasmin said the thing I'll never forgive her for. You should have gotten rid of that baby when you had the chance, Lakeisha. Then maybe you wouldn't be such a pathetic mess. She said it loud enough for neighbors to hear. Loud enough for Reina to hear, even if she was too young to understand. I stood up, looked my sister in the eye, and said quietly, "You're going to regret this." She laughed. "Sure I will." I need to pause here and say something. If you're watching this and you've ever felt powerless, ever felt like someone more privileged than you crushed you under their heel, please subscribe to this channel. Not for me, but for you. Because you need to know that people who abuse their power don't always win. Sometimes, quietly and without fanfare, justice finds its way. Hit that subscribe button if you believe that truth matters, that kindness matters, that treating people with dignity matters. We spent that first night in a Motel 6, on Biscayne Boulevard. It cost $89 for the night, which was more than I could afford, but I had no choice. Raina fell asleep crying, asking when we could go back to Auntie Yasmin's house. I lay awake all night, staring at the water-stained ceiling, trying to figure out what to do. The next day, Sunday, I started looking for apartments. Everything in my price range was either in dangerous neighborhoods or required last month, and a security deposit I didn't have. I had maybe $2,000 in savings, money I'd been carefully setting aside for Raina's future. By Monday, we were out of the motel. I couldn't afford another night. Sally had come back to town and offered to let us crash on her couch for a week, maybe 2. I was grateful but humiliated. My daughter and I were homeless because my sister couldn't handle being told no one time. I went to work that Monday like nothing was wrong. I wore my best smile, answered phones, filed paperwork, scheduled appointments for the attorneys at Morrison, Ramos and Associates. During my lunch break, I cried in the bathroom stall. That's where Tasha Sadler found me. Tasha was one of the senior partners at the firm. She was in her late 50s, a brilliant corporate attorney with a reputation for being tough but fair. We'd never had much interaction, I was just an admin, and she was a partner, but she'd always been polite to me. "Lakeisha?" She knocked gently on the stall door. "Honey, are you okay?" I tried to compose myself, but I was so exhausted, so defeated, that everything just poured out. I told her about Yasmin, about being kicked out, about staying on Sally's couch with my 4-year-old daughter. Tasha listened quietly. When I finished, she said, "Come to my office after work. I might be able to help." I didn't know what she meant, but I showed up at her office at 5:35 p.m. She gestured for me to sit. "Lakeisha, I'm going to be direct with you. I've watched you work here for 3 years. You're punctual, detail-oriented, professional, and you handle stress well. Those are valuable qualities." "Thank you," I said, confused about where this was going. I own a small condo in Kendall. It's been vacant for 6 months since my son moved out. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, nothing fancy. I've been meaning to rent it out but haven't gotten around to it. You can stay there. I'll charge you $900 a month, which I know is still tight for you, but it's below market. I almost burst into tears again. "Ms. Sadler, I don't know what to say." "Say yes. And call me Tasha." We moved into Tasha's condo that weekend. It was small but clean and safe. Raina had her own room for the first time in her life. I set it up with the few toys and books we had, hung up some cheerful curtains I bought at Target, and tried to make it feel like home. Slowly, painfully, we rebuilt. I picked up extra shifts at work. Tasha, who had become not just my landlord but my mentor, started giving me more responsibilities at the firm. She taught me about legal procedures, let me shadow her during client meetings, encouraged me to take paralegal courses online. Raina started preschool at a place near our new apartment. She made friends. She stopped asking about Auntie Yasmin. I didn't hear from my sister at all. Not a call, not a text, not even a message through mutual acquaintances. It was like Raina and I had never existed to her. It hurt. God, it hurt. But I channeled that pain into motivation. I enrolled in night classes to become a paralegal. I studied after Raina went to bed, surviving on coffee and determination. I passed my certification exam 6 months after moving into Tasha's condo. She promoted me immediately. My salary almost doubled. For the first time since before Reina was born, I could breathe financially. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Part of my new role as a paralegal involved corporate litigation. One day, Tasha assigned me to assist on a case involving real estate fraud. A development company was being investigated for bribing city officials to get zoning changes approved for luxury condos. The company's name was Bagwell Properties. My hands went cold when I saw it. Tasha, I said carefully, I need to disclose something. The owner of this company, Sean Bagwell, is my brother-in-law. Well, former brother-in-law, I guess. Tasha looked up sharply. The man who kicked you out. His wife kicked me out. But yes. She studied me for a long moment. Can you handle this professionally? Absolutely. Then let's get to work. As I dug into the case files, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Sean's company had been cutting corners for years. Bribing inspectors to overlook code violations. Paying off zoning board members to approve projects that should never have been greenlit. Falsifying environmental impact reports. And Yasmin? She was listed as VP of Community Relations for Bagwell Properties. Her signature was on dozens of documents related to these shady dealings. My sister, who had thrown me and my daughter onto the street, who had called me a pathetic mess, who had suggested I should have aborted my child, she was involved in all of it. I had a choice to make. I could do my job professionally, thoroughly, and let the chips fall where they may. Or I could alert Yasmin, warn her, give her a chance to get out before everything came crashing down. She was still my sister, after all. Despite everything. I called her. First time in almost a year. Lakeisha? She sounded surprised. Not happy, just surprised. Yasmin, I need to tell you something. The firm I work for is investigating Bagwell Properties. There's evidence of bribery, fraud, code violations. Are you threatening me? Her voice turned icy. What? No, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to warn you that. You're trying to blackmail us. You want money to keep quiet. Yasmin, that's not. Stay away from me and my husband, Lakeisha. And if you know what's good for you, you'll keep your mouth shut about things that don't concern you. She hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand, shaking. I'd tried to help her. Even after everything she'd done to me, I'd tried to give her a heads up. And she'd accused me of blackmail. I threw myself into the case with renewed focus. Working with Tasha and another partner, William Ramos, we built an airtight case against Bagwell Properties. We found emails, bank records, testimony from city employees who'd been bribed. It was damning. The case went public in November. The Miami Herald ran a front-page story, luxury developer accused of widespread corruption. Sean's company was raided by federal agents. Documents were seized. Accounts were frozen. Yasmin called me again a week later. This is your fault, she hissed. You did this to us. You destroyed our lives because you're jealous and bitter. I did my job, Yasmin. That's all. We're going to lose everything. The house, the cars, everything. Are you happy now? I'm not happy. I'm just not going to protect people who break the law and hurt others for profit. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister when you threw my daughter and me onto the street. I hung up this time. I want to take a moment here. If this story has resonated with you at all, if you've stayed with me this far, please subscribe. Please. Because I need you to understand that this isn't about revenge. This was never about revenge. This is about accountability. This is about standing up for what's right even when it costs you something. Subscribe if you believe that our worth isn't determined by how much money we have or who we're related to, but by our character and our choices. The trial happened this past January. Sean was convicted on multiple counts of bribery and fraud. He was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Yasmin wasn't criminally charged. Prosecutors decided she'd been more negligent than actively criminal, but she lost everything anyway. The Pinecrest house was seized as part of the judgment against Sean. Their cars, their vacation property in the Keys, their boat, all gone. Yasmin moved into a small apartment in Hialeah. She got a job as an office manager at a dental practice, making a fraction of what she'd been used to. I heard all this through Karen, who'd stayed in touch with some of Yasmin's old friends. Part of me felt vindicated. But mostly, I just felt sad. We ran into each other at Target 2 weeks ago. I was shopping with Raina, who's now 4.5 and chattering nonstop about her upcoming preschool graduation. We were in the toy aisle when I looked up and saw Yasmin standing there with a basket containing generic cereal and store-brand coffee. She looked tired. Older. Broken. Our eyes met. Raina didn't recognize her. It had been over a year, and she was so young when we left. "Hi, Yasmin," I said quietly. "Lakeisha." Her voice was flat. We stood there in awkward silence. Finally, she said, "She's gotten so big." "Yeah. She has." More silence. "I'm sorry," Yasmin said suddenly. "For what I said that day. About you getting rid of her. That was unforgivable." I nodded. It was. I was so angry. So bitter about not being able to have children. And seeing you with her every day, it ate me alive. But that's not an excuse. I know that. No. It's not. She looked at Raina, who was examining a doll with intense concentration. Does she remember me at all? No. Yasmin's face crumpled for just a second before she composed herself. That's probably for the best. Yasmin, I didn't set out to destroy your life. I want you to know that. I know. I know you were just doing your job. And honestly, Sean deserved what he got. I was blind to so much because I liked the lifestyle, the money, the status. I compromised myself. She paused. I compromised everything that mattered. We talked for a few more minutes. It wasn't a reconciliation, exactly, but it was something. An acknowledgement. A moment of honesty between two sisters who destroyed each other in different ways. Before we parted, Yasmin said, "You're a good mother, Lakeisha. I'm sorry I ever made you feel otherwise. Raina is lucky to have you." Those words meant more than she could know. As I watched her walk away, pushing her cart with its modest contents, I didn't feel triumph. I felt release. Today, Raina and I are thriving. I completed my paralegal certification and I'm now studying for the LSAT. Tasha thinks I'd make an excellent attorney, and she's offered to write me a recommendation letter when the time comes. We moved out of Tasha's condo 6 months ago into a small house we're renting in South Miami. It has a backyard where Raina plays. She's enrolled in a good elementary school for next year. She's happy, healthy, loved. I'm dating someone new, Tommy Sachs, a teacher I met at Raina's preschool. He's kind, patient, and he adores my daughter. We're taking things slow, but for the first time in years, I'm allowing myself to hope for a future that includes partnership, maybe even marriage someday. I think about Yasmin sometimes. I wonder if she's okay, if she's finding her way back to the person she was before money and status corrupted her values. Part of me wants to reach out, to try to rebuild some kind of relationship. But I'm not ready yet. Maybe someday. Here's what I learned from all of this. Your worth is not determined by your bank account, your zip code, or your family connections. It's determined by how you treat people when you have power over them. Yasmin had power over me, and she abused it. She humiliated me, rejected my child, and kicked us out with nowhere to go. And yes, she lost everything because of choices she and her husband made. But I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate her downfall. Because I'm not her. When given the choice between cruelty and kindness, between revenge and justice, between bitterness and grace, I chose the harder path. The path that let me sleep at night. The path that made me someone my daughter could be proud of. Reina will grow up knowing that her mother faced impossible odds and came out stronger. She'll know that we survived homelessness and humiliation with our dignity intact. She'll know that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Last week, Reina asked me a question while I was tucking her into bed. "Mommy, do you remember when we used to live in Auntie Yasmin's big house?" My heart skipped. "I remember, baby." "Do you?" "A little bit. I remember she had a pretty garden. But I like our house better." "Why's that?" "Because it's ours. Just you and me. Well, and maybe Mr. Tommy too." She giggled. I kissed her forehead. "You're right, sweetheart. This is better." And it is. Some people measure success by houses and cars and designer clothes. I measure it by the smile on my daughter's face when she comes home from school. By the pride I feel when I look at my paralegal certificate hanging on the wall. By the knowledge that I survived my sister's cruelty and came out kinder, not harder. Yasmin took our home. But she couldn't take our strength, our resilience, or our love for each other. And in the end, that's what mattered most. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If it touched you, if it reminded you of your own struggles, if it gave you hope that things can get better even when they seem impossible, please subscribe to this channel. Don't subscribe for me. Subscribe for yourself. Subscribe because you deserve to be reminded that you're not alone in your struggles. Subscribe because you believe that people who do the right thing, who choose kindness over cruelty, who protect their children and maintain their dignity even when the world is crushing them, those people deserve to be celebrated. Your subscription isn't just a click. It's a statement that you stand with everyone who's been underestimated, dismissed, or discarded. It's a statement that justice matters. That truth matters. That how we treat the vulnerable says everything about who we are. I'm Lakeisha. This is my story. And if you've made it this far, I'm honored you took the time to hear it. Now go hug your kids, call someone you love, and remember, no matter how dark things get, morning always comes. You're stronger than you know, and you deserve a life filled with dignity, respect, and love. Subscribe, and let's build a community of people who refuse to let hardship make them hard. Who choose grace over grudges. Who survive. Who thrive. Thank you.